Hey guys, John V here from PhoneArena. You're watching our in-depth video review of the Motorola DROID BIONIC. It's been a long time in the making, but it's finally here. Different times since we first checked it out at CES. We've heard about it being delayed, canceled, whatever, but it's here in the flesh, and it sports a dual-core processor with 4G LTE connectivity, so the very first device to offer that. It's a lot of dreamy specs with it, and it's following after other Motorola devices like the Motorola DROID 3 and the X2, so hopefully it's going to stand out and continue Motorola's great legacy with the carrier. To tell the truth, we're not all that bonkers about the DROID BIONIC's design, just because it doesn't feel as compelling as the Motorola DROID X, the original one here. One of the big highlights about the handset, it is the thinnest out of the 4G LTE bunch at 11mm thick, so that's 0.43 inches at its thinnest point here at the bottom, but as you can tell with its profile, it kind of gets larger, just like the DROID X, towards the top where the camera sensors are placed. Still lightweight feel though, thanks to its choice of materials, which is mostly this tough plastic shell. It looks like it's a metallic casing, but it is like a tough plastic exterior. Soft touch feel in the back keeps it looking clean. Nothing really extravagant with its design. Solidly built all around. And as we mentioned, decent looking handset, but not the most compelling. Indeed, it's not something we haven't seen before. The DROID BIONIC features the same display found in the DROID X2, which is a 4.3-inch QHD display with Gorilla Glass. So with the resolution, which is 540 by 960 pixels, you're able to make out a lot of good details. Very sharp and clear. Colors are juicy and distinctive. Not as saturated as the Super AMOLED Plus display, but very nice looking. However, it does suffer from the same issue that we found with the DROID 3, which is the viewing angle. So you can tell, just moving a little bit, the colors tend to bleed. So it gets this grayish hue to blacks and other colors. Still, it's not a big a distraction just because overall the display is nice looking and it's very easy to make out even in direct sunlight. Right below the display, we found the usual set of Android capacitor buttons. The nice thing we like about it is that they're placed far away from the edges, so it reduces any accidental presses. On the opposite side, we have the earpiece, kind of narrow looking. You have also a front-facing camera, take self-portraits, and seeing that's Android 2.3.4, you're going to have video chat support with Google Talk. Both the micro USB port and the micro HDMI ports are located on the left edge of the handset. With the HDMI out port, you'll be able to get a mirrored experience on high-definition television, and using the different accessories for the DROID BIONIC, you gain access to Motorola's WebTop experience as well. The handset's volume rocker is kind of thin in our opinion, just like what we found in the DROID X2, and it exhibits a good response, and we do like the chrome accent to it. Meanwhile, the 3.5mm headset jack and dedicated power buttons located at the top edge. With the power button, it's kind of narrow looking too, kind of difficult also to make out the finger, and the response is kind of difficult to make out. And in the back, we have the 8-megapixel autofocus camera with a single LED flash. It's able to shoot 1080p videos. You have the notch here for the speakerphone. You have directional microphones as well right here. And removing the back cover, you got to lift it off from the top. There's a notch right there. Remove the back cover. It's just a regular plastic case, you can tell. You gain access to the handset's micro SD card slot, the 4G LTE SIM card slot as well, and one beefy battery. It's the largest out of the 4G LTE smartphones. It's a 1735 milliamp hour battery in there. Of course, the DROID BIONIC is attributed as being the very first 4G LTE smartphone to feature a dual-core processor, and it's actually a dual-core 1GHz TI OMAP processor with 1GB of RAM. So it's actually nothing new, to tell you the truth, just because we saw dual-core processors on the DROID X2 and even the DROID 3, so nothing really spectacular. The overall performance really good. You can tell navigating across the home screen here, very responsive to the touch. Opening up the app panel, just moving around, a lot of nice looking 3D effects. Even with a live wallpaper activated, it still works pretty good. Good operation, and overall very peppy handset, but nothing really overly dramatic versus other devices we've checked out in the past. The benchmark scores are pretty good, but not quite as up there compared to some other handsets like the Galaxy S2. But nevertheless, it's ultimately just the core platform experience that we're most concerned about, and definitely it runs very smooth. So if you checked out the Motorola DROID 3, the interface running on the DROID BIONIC isn't anything new. It's the same exact one. It's that latest version of that customized new interface from Motorola's camp. A lot of 3D effects in play with it. definitely gives it a lot of eye-catching appeal, much better than what we saw previously, like on the Droid X2 and even the Motorola experience on the Photon 4G. A lot of personalization because it's Android 2.3.4, so you have the latest build there. You got a bunch of different widgets, as we mentioned already. You have the Peoples here, which has a nice 3D effect to it. You have your usual Android ones. You have also things like a weather, social networking ones, and even bookmarks. So a lot of personalization with it. And the app panel is laid up in traditional fashion. You could always organize it by different groups, whatever you want. So it's a lot easier to manage. And with the notification tray, it'd been nice to see some quick functions like turning on airplane mode right on there. But unfortunately, you got to go into the settings to do that. Seeing that the Droid Bionic is indeed Verizon's flagship right now, it would be nice to see some differences with the platform experience, but unfortunately it's the same exact one we saw at the Droid 3. As far as the organizer apps are concerned, nothing different about it. Same exact ones you usually find in any other handset. You have things like the calculator, you have the calendar for your appointments, you have the alarm and timer, so you could set alarms and do a timer there, and the contacts. Of course, you could get it from your Gmail account and other things like Facebook and Twitter, but nothing different about it. With its large display and all, texting is not a problem with the Droid Bionic just because the layout is very spacious and very responsive to the touch too. You could tell very quick and instantaneous. You have two options available to you. You have either the multi-touch keyboard or the swipe one if you're used to this way of inputting text. Naturally, the best option is just the landscape one just because it provides plenty of room and overall speed typing is not a problem. So what else can we say about the Gmail experience on the Droid Bionic? There's nothing different about it except for the fact that it offers a larger display, which means less scrolling needed. Overall, it's the same experience that you find on any other Android smartphone out there. So now we'll just quickly go over some of the notable applications preloaded with the Droid Bionic. So if you're an enterprise customer, you'll definitely like the handset just because you'll find things like Citrix on board. You'll also have GoToMeeting, so you can view PowerPoint presentations and even files on the go. And you also have things like MotoPrint to print wirelessly to a network printer. You have Quick Office, I believe, so you could edit and create PowerPoint, Word documents, and even Excel files right on the handset itself. Pretty neat. And you also have ZumoCast, which is an interesting application just because it gives you some remote functionality with your home computer. So you install an application on your computer, you'll be able to view files that are stored on your computer on your handset. So if you have like a Word document or if you have a picture, or even play music, you could stream it over the air right onto the handset. So it gives you basically unlimited storage. Some other notable applications on board are also Amazon Kindle. You have Blockbuster, City ID on board, the usual Verizon bunch, Let's Golf 2 as a game, and you also have this nice one here, Video Surf, which is basically a movie ID application. So you take a video of a movie you're watching and it'll ID it for you. By far its biggest highlight, the Motorola DROID BIONIC is a 4G LTE smartphone, so you get lightning quick downloads and upload speeds with the handset. So in terms of web browsing, it's going to be awesome just because complex web pages load up very quickly. Even with Flash content, loads up in a timely manner. As far as the overall experience, it's good. It's very responsive, and you can tell with kinetic scrolling it's good. Flash content loaded, it doesn't really slow down or hiccup. You could do pinch gestures. Not as smooth as you could tell there, but nevertheless, still more than manageable. And overall, we do love its 4G LTE connectivity. With the music player on the DROID BIONIC, it's nothing new just because it's the same exact one we find on other recent Motorola handsets. In portrait, it's very conventional with the album cover and on-screen controls, but when you're browsing through songs in landscape, you get this really nice 3D effect to it as you're browsing through the categories here, the different songs available on the handset. In terms of audio quality, it's pretty strong, a lot of good, strong, powerful tones, and doesn't crackle at the loudest volume setting. There's no arguing about it, but we're mesmerized by the high-definition playback of the DROID BIONIC just because it has such a brilliant-looking display, and of course, the video we have here is encoded in DivX, 1080p resolution, so that's 1920 by 1080 resolution, a lot of distinctive details, clear, it's running very smoothly, and overall, just because of the gorgeous display, it just makes the experience so fantastic. Just like the Motorola DROID X2, the DROID BIONIC lacks a physical shutter key, so to run the camera application, you gotta click on the camera icon on the dock bar or in the applications menu, and you're treated to the same interface that's found on the DROID 3. It doesn't have as many manual options, but you're still presented with the same stuff like the different effects, scene modes, you have the single, panoramic, multi-shot modes, the brightness, you could change the flash settings, and also the options for your resolution. On the left side, you have the digital zoom control, control here, and on the right you have just your icons for your front-facing camera, shutter key, and you'll also change it to the video mode, and you can move the focus level to anywhere on the screen. With the handset's 8-megapixel autofocus camera in the rear, it takes some average-looking shots on the whole. It's a lot better than what we saw with the Droid 3, but not as good as what we saw with the Droid X2. Outdoor shots, it captures an average amount of details, not too sharp or not too soft. Colors, though, it can vary just because it has a tendency of overexposing the images, making colors looking washed out, but usually it looks like it's on the natural side. Indoors, though, it does falter just a little bit, just because details are not as great, a little bit on the grainy side. Colors are also kind of bland looking, and with the LED flash, it does a good job of illuminating the scenery, but the problem is if you're in complete darkness, the handset has a difficult time in focusing in on the subject, so you're going to need a little bit of light for it to focus properly. With 1080p high-definition video recording on board with the Motorola DROID BIONIC, we're very impressed with the results, just because with the sample that we took, it has a lot of good-looking details. Colors could be on the neutral side, but the audio quality, the audio recording is crystal clear, very, very discernible. It shoots at 29 frames per second, so it's very smooth with its movement. It's not choppy at all. And the other thing worth noting is that it is continuous autofocus, so it will capture things very close up. And again, once you put it back to whatever's in the background, it will automatically kick into focus. So overall, we're very happy with the results. Now, one of the nice things about the Motorola DROID BIONIC is that it does exceptionally well with calling quality. We're very happy with the overall results. With the earpiece, it produces a good amount of tones, very audible, and no noise or static in the background. Voices on both ends of the line are crystal clear, no problems whatsoever. And when we switched to using the speakerphone, we're very impressed too, just because it's very prevalent in its tones and output, and we didn't have any issues using it whatsoever. Strangely, we experienced one frustrating issue with the Motorola DROID BIONIC in our testing, just because signal strength seems to be an issue with the device. It doesn't put up a good amount of bars, very low actually in high coverage areas, and we did experience on numerous occasions with the connectivity dropping from 4G to 3G. It just seems to be a constant issue with the handset. Luckily, it didn't drop any phone calls during our testing. Packing the larger size battery out of the 4G LTE smartphones available on Verizon Wireless right now, the Motorola DROID BIONIC, this is an expectation with its battery life. Luckily, with calling, we managed to get 10 hours of continuous use on a single charge, so it easily gets in what the manufacturer has it rated for, and it's better than most devices out there. But in terms of normal everyday operation, we managed to get 10 hours on normal usage, consisting of web browsing, texting, email, and of course an occasional phone call. It's still something you're going to charge every night. And for heavy users, just plan to charge it as much as you can. Even though we've seen it already happen with the Motorola Atrix 4G over an AT&T, it's the first time that Verizon customers are getting treated to a device that offers WebTop experience on a handset with a Motorola device. Specifically, you have like the dock here, which is a laptop 11.6-inch, almost like a netbook. You essentially place the handset in the back. It utilizes the handset's WebTop experience on the laptop, so you have things like a Firefox browser, and you still have access to all the functions on the phone. Conversely, you have even the HD dock, so you connect this to your TV, high definition television, via HDMI cable. You have USB ports in the back, so you can connect a mouse or a keyboard and interact with the WebTop experience with that. And finally, if you don't want to get either of the two, you can always go with the simplest solution, which is the WebTop adapter here. It plugs into the side of the handset, and from here you connect the HDMI cable to your TV, so you still have all that access and functionality at your hands. So there you have it, folks. That wraps up our Motorola DROID BIONIC review. And the device as a whole, for $300 on contract, still definitely up there in price, definitely expensive, and you might want to weigh your options. A long time in coming, obviously, but it is the very first 4G LTE smartphone with a dual-core processor, and it is also the thinnest, out of the bunch, and it has the large size capacity. But other than that, there's nothing really substantially fresh about the handset, just because for starters, dual-core processor has been done already by other handsets. The interface running on here, we've seen already on the Droid 3. 4G LTE connectivity, we have already 3 Verizon devices that offer that. And the WebTop experience, of course, you got to pay out more money to gain access to those accessories, those optional ones. But the Motorola Atrix 4G had that way back in January, early in the year. But it's just nice to see that the DROID BIONIC just brings it all together. But $300 definitely something you want to think about if you want to purchase this handset. But if you do go with it, you have a very high-end, respectable, top-shelf handset that you know is going to be lasting quite some time. So if you'd like to learn more about the Motorola DROID Bionic, you can check it out at our website, PhoneArena.com. Thanks for watching, guys.